I'm a paramedic. I've been doing this for about 15 years in a 911 truck. Now I run a professional training company. It's called MedServ, the shirt that I'm wearing. MedServ is a professional training company that provides life-saving training to any individual, professional training to first responder training. We heard this beautiful lecture from this lady over here. I was here about 20 minutes ago, and I was hearing all the things that she says that I do. I'm very proud of myself. I don't know about you. I eat salmon 3 days a week. Wild-caught salmon, okay? But what's important is I work out. You know, how many of you go to the gym? 1, 2, I go. 3, 4. Come on, you got to raise your hand. Not spend 1, 2, and 3, but 4 and 5. You know, 4 days a week. Go to the gym, work out. If you look at the American Heart Association, how many of you know American Heart Association? You know American Heart Association. It's the premier agency that does research. Heart diseases and stroke research is done at the American Heart Association. You will see that they have a slogan called Life is Why. Have you seen it? It's called Life is Why. Okay, you have a purpose of life. You know, you are here for a purpose. You know, you have goals to achieve. You have milestones to reach. But at the same time, a healthy lifestyle is its purpose too. Right? If you keep yourself healthy and you have healthy habits and you have healthy practices, then you can pursue your goals. And that's why Life is Why is very important, and why American Heart Association uses that Life is Why as a goal. And that's what I also adopted, that what keeps me healthy is because I do what I enjoy the most. I do this for a living because I love it. Okay, so every day is a great day for me because I set out doing what I enjoy the most. That takes away all of the pressures off my head. 2, I live healthy. I don't drink soda, I don't do fast food. Okay, I eat healthy, but I eat very well. Like yesterday I was at the restaurant, I ate braised pork ribs. Okay, and then I ate braised pork bellies. Lots of fat, but this morning I went and I worked out and I burned those calories. So I balanced myself out. You know, that's what's important, right? Sometimes you have to enjoy your life as well, right? And then you burn it up. But having talked about all of these, when we consume food, we have a lifestyle, we have stress, we have other pressures, we have family, we have kids. What does it lead to? What's the biggest issue that we face is what we call is?
Heart disease.
Heart diseases, right? Heart diseases are one of the most biggest and most common diseases, at least in the United States. Every 90 seconds, someone is having a cardiac arrest in the U.S. Okay, every 90 seconds. Okay, every 30 or 35 seconds, someone is having a heart attack. Okay, because of cardiac or heart-based diseases. So I wanted to just share a simple knowledge about for you, how can you recognize the difference between a heart attack and a cardiac arrest? If cardiac arrest happens, what can you do during those first 3 to 4 minutes to help or give that individual a chance to survive? Okay? Those are critical moments for anyone in that period because that seals that person's fate. Okay? Which is, he goes towards death, basically. So giving that individual the best chance of survival is why we learn cardiopulmonary resuscitation or CPR. This was a medical procedure before, but now we are spreading education so that you can do it in your everyday settings, because majority of the time a heart attack and a cardiac arrest can come in what we call this pre-hospital setting. Right now I'm talking to you, I can clutch my chest and I can write down. Okay, there are so many people around here. What's going to happen, you know? All of you will freeze. Okay, all of you will be scared to death as to what the hell happened. What am I going to do right now? Someone get me some help. Someone call 911 or someone do something. Okay, while you are contemplating what to do, critical moments pass by. And the chance for survival just diminishes. Every minute that passes by, the chance of survival drops by 10%. Okay, it takes 3 minutes for the brain cells to die because of lack of oxygen. Okay, it takes about 5 to 6 minutes for anyone in cardiac arrest goes to a point of no return. So whatever you do, even if you call 911 right now, they're going to take about 10, 12 minutes to get here. They'll come, but they just cannot fly as the crow flies. Okay? They have to drive, there'll be traffic, and so on and so forth. What can you do during those 10 or 12 minutes to give any individual in a medical emergency a chance of survival? The fate is not written in your hands, but you're doing your best to give him an opportunity. And that's why we spread the knowledge of doing CPR. Okay, so before we do, make this interactive, ask many questions as possible because this is an interactive session, this is not a class per se. Okay, let's establish the big difference between a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. Okay, there's a big difference because someone, when they collapse on the ground, we say he's having a heart attack, please help him or her. We generally tend to use that term, right? But there's a lot of difference between the two. I want all of you, when you leave today, to recognize what is a heart attack or a heart disease versus what is a cardiac arrest. They're two different aspects altogether. Okay? Who can tell me what is a heart attack?
Blood clot. Blood clot was the clot.
Blood clot, not exact. Clot means there is blockage of arteries. A clot can be very fatal. Just FYI, a clot can lead you to a fatal position, but you got the thought right. Okay, some form of blood blockage in your heart. What happens when that happens to the individual? No.
Loss of oxygen
They cannot breathe.
supply.
Loss of oxygen supply, not lack of oxygen supply. When there is a loss, you will become unconscious. When there is a lack of oxygen supply, what happens then? He shows you some signs or symptoms, right? What do you think are those signs or symptoms?
They cannot breathe.
They cannot breathe. No, they have difficulty breathing. Because these are aspects that we want to become clear. This is in your head, but we want to refine that. The thought of yours is correct, but we just want to refine it so that you can see them in the future. Difficulty reading. What else? Some very critical, typical signs where you think, oh, this doesn't look good to me. Sweating, exactly. If I'm right now, I'm excited, I'm standing, I'm talking, we have a little bit of sweat, it's humid outside, and so on and so forth. But if you were sitting down over here, this gentleman starts to sweat profusely, we've got to have a reason. What would you do? You would ask him, are you all right? I mean, you feeling okay? All right? He will tell you yes or no, or there's got to be a reason. So something that doesn't look right, that's your red flag. What else?
Chest pain.
Chest pain, that's the biggest one. Anyone, please, let's establish one point. Anyone complaining with any chest discomfort or pain, okay? I want you to do the following from today onwards. Don't tell him that, does it hurt here? Ask him, point to me and tell me where does it hurt. There's a big difference between the two. If you say, does it hurt here? He will say, yes, it hurts there. End of the story. Okay, you say, does it hurt here? So yeah, it hurts there too. Okay? If you say, point to me and tell me where does it hurt, if he points to you where your heart is, that's your red flag number 1. A big red flag. Okay? What else? Let's hold that flag, but what else do you think will be the other signs? Arm weakness or arm pain. Have you ever experienced that with a loved one or a friend or anyone? They will complain about arm pain. Women especially complains about upper back and upper lower jaw pain. Okay, catching a heart attack with women is very difficult sometimes because they will have these signs or symptoms. Okay, the problem that I'm trying to tell you is if anyone shows you these types of signs or symptoms, what do you do?
911.
Please, what do you not do?
Do it yourself.
Like
Taking to doctor.
take him to
The hospital.
the hospital. Please do not do that. You know why? You know why? Tell me.
Traffic along the way.
Yes?
They can
And?
reach us faster. They can reach us faster.
They can reach us faster. Okay, we'll hold that thought, but definitely, but what else? Some myths we want to clear. They have equipment, very good, okay.
They know what to do.
They know what to do, of course. Yes. Yes, that's brilliant. Excellent. But yes.
We may get panic.
I hope so they know what to do. You know? With, yeah.
First 3 minutes are very important.
Very during this period is very important. This person first, let's get rid of the good answers, but let's refine them as that's what we are trying to do over here. Okay, if just remember, if someone is having a heart-related issue, any issue, heart attack, heart failure, anything, they will always be conscious, alive, and alert. Let's establish that. They will always be conscious, alive, and alert because they will be in conversation with you. They will sweat. They will say chest pain. They will say arm pain. They say I think something is happening with me. They will be very scared and so on and so forth. These are classic signs that someone is having an issue. 2, for you, call 911 first. There are 2 reasons. 1, when someone is having an issue like that, the problem is blockage, as he pointed out. There's a blockage. There's a lack of blood circulation. So the heart starts to work harder. But there are some muscles around it starts to die because there is no oxygen happening around it. So if I ask you to run around this building 3 times, what's going to happen? You'll get tired. If I ask you to run the 4th time, you might just collapse because it's lack of endurance. You reach your endurance. So you don't know when that heart is going to give up. Right? There is no timer written on it. It can take 3 days. It can take 4 minutes. It can be sudden. There is cardiac arrest comes with no warning. Okay, that's number 1. 2, EMS, when you call 911, not only they know what to do, they will bring the ER to you. Okay, there's a reason we go to the ER. Why do we go to ER? ER means emergency room. Why do we go there? To get stabilizing treatment. If you ever called your doctor, the doctor's first thing in the IVR says, if you're having a medical emergency, call 911. If not, press 9 for the operator, press 1 for that. If you hear it, if you ever call your doctor's office. Your doctor cannot help you. Okay? It's emergency personnel that can help you because you need stabilizing treatment. So when you call 911 under these circumstances, not only they know what to do to bring the equipment and they bring all of what we can do in the ER to your doorstep. They will stabilize you, provide you with the right medication, and then they will take you to the hospital. You know, when you go to the hospital in an ambulance, under these circumstances, you go straight to cath lab and you just don't go to the ER because the treatment has already happened. Okay, so let's take that as a lesson today, is that anyone showing you any signs of anything that doesn't look right to your eyes, you know, diaphoretic skin, which is perspiring, chest pain, discomfort, lack of shortness of breath, or anything of that sort, slurred speech, dizziness, okay, anything of this sort is a medical emergency. Call 911, wait for 911 to arrive. If you think that the problem, the chest pain is distinct, if the person is not allergic to, you can give him 1 or 2 or 3 baby aspirin and ask them to chew it. It buys you a little bit of time. Okay, ask them to chew it, but psychological care is very important. Okay, provide him with comforting care, assure him that help is on the way. If you tell him, man, this doesn't look good, you're going to die, man, and he's going to die quicker. Okay, so do not scare him, but provide him with psychological care. Loosen clothing, let him breathe as best as possible. Amen?
Also, people who are suffering this heart attack should share the symptoms
Absolutely.
with people around them.
Absolutely. The biggest problem happens when you get into this argument, and time and again it has happened. Oh, nothing has happened to me. You don't know it. I'm just going to go and lie down. Okay? Give me some Tums. I think I have heartburn. You're not a doctor. You don't know. I'm all right. This ego clash starts to happen. I know more than you happens. Time and again we have heard hundreds and hundreds of stories where people have opinions and they beat those opinions and they don't talk about it and they just lie down and something serious happens and now it becomes too late. Okay, so those are lessons that we want to learn. If you're having a problem, please talk about it. Please talk about it. About 2 weeks ago, I was having a nagging headache. Okay, I said I gotta have a good reason for why I have to have a headache. I just said I'm healthy, I work out, I eat well, and everything else. And I've been having this headache for 1 whole week. And I've been taking a couple of Tylenols, it's just not going away. So I asked one of my colleagues, I said, hey, you know what, just check my blood pressure, will you? because this headache seems to be pretty persistent. So I saw some alarms. He took my blood pressure. It came out to 170 over 110. Okay, if you just know systolic, diastolic blood pressure ranges, if it's about 140, it is towards your hypertension stage. I said to myself, I said, man, I'm going to have a stroke. Stroke is a different aspect where a blood clot actually travels to your brain. Okay, if the blood clot travels to your heart, you can have what we call as a pulmonary embolism that can lead to death. But stroke can also lead to death because the clot can then travel to your brain. Okay, so because I was proactive, I was able to find out as to what was possibly wrong with me. Okay, so I took corrective measures to bring my pressure down, which is the most natural way to do it. Okay, so let's talk about cardiac arrest now. Now that you have understood any questions about heart attack? Sir?
Yes. So till the emergency comes, what should we do? For
What
the heart
should you
attack?
do? Couple of things. First, loosen the individual's clothing. Okay, let the body breathe as best as possible. Okay, have him seated in a comfortable position. Don't let him lie down. In a position that makes him comfortable. If someone is having difficulty breathing, they will tend to do that. They will what we call is a tripod position because that's what helps them breathe better. Put him on a bed or a chair, wherever you can, or on a floor in what we call is a semi-Fowler's position like that, in a half-seated position, but in a position that makes him more comfortable. Ask him, what do you think is more comfortable? Is this comfy? Is this comfy? Is this comfy? He said, yeah, this is a little better. I said, all right, that's a little better. Okay? 3, do not hesitate to call 911. Okay, that should be a first step. Pick up the phone and you say, I have a 50-year-old man or a woman or whatever it is complaining of chest pain. And they're going to come very, very quickly. 4, if you do have access to baby aspirin, aspirin is what we call is a dilator, right? It dilates the arteries a little bit, it improves a little bit of blood circulation. So it'll buy you some time. If they have aspirin, ask him to chew it, because if you chew it, it gets into your bloodstream a lot more quicker than going into your stomach and it starts to digest.
Can we give some water or?
A sip, but not recommended. Maybe a sip of water, just wet his lips a little bit, but that's not recommended to have fluids so that it can cause other issues. Now, there's a difference between dehydration and a heart attack. Okay, so someone complaining of chest pain. So always ask, what were you doing before you started to feel this way? Always try to get a background as to why this is happening. And the clue, that person itself will tell you. I was just sitting over here and suddenly started feeling this way. Did you eat today? I said, yeah, I ate. When did you eat? Well, 6 in the morning. You know, so you have a little bit of idea about what's been happening with it. All right, so EMS is going to ask you these questions. Okay, so what were you doing before you started to feel this way? Because we are trying to diagnose what is happening, so that if you get the info, it is all the more better. Okay? Provide comforting care as best as possible. Okay, provide comforting care as best as possible and wait for EMS to arrive. There is nothing much that you can do as a first aider. You're not a doctor. You're not an EMS professional. You're not a medic. You don't have equipment. Okay, nor do you know how to use it. But you have eyes, ears, and proactive and reactive actions within you. So sit with the person, talk to him, assure him, and wait for help to arrive. Okay? What else? Any questions? So, when someone is having any types of these issues, we'll have conscious, alive, and alert. So what is cardiac arrest? If anyone can tell me. Obviously the opposite, I know. But what is cardiac arrest?
If heart doesn't pump.
When the heart stops
Pumping.
pumping what? Blood to the brain. And
Other parts of the body.
the heart itself. I'm not concerned about the other parts of the body now. Okay? 2 organs are very important. When the heart stops pumping blood to the brain and the heart itself, what happens to the person?
Unconscious.
They will collapse. And then what else will happen?
Unconscious.
They will become unconscious. And what else will happen? No. Which is, they will stop breathing.
Yeah.
Okay, it's difficult for a non-medical professional to check for a carotid pulse or a radial pulse. If the blood pressure drops below 110 systolic, you're going to lose radial pulse. Just FYI. Okay, so don't worry about pulse. Someone who becomes unresponsive Unresponsive means what? Unresponsive means,
They cannot talk.
hey, what happened? Wake up. He doesn't respond. If I physically try to wake him up, he does not respond, is unresponsive. And then if I look, it takes 4 to 5 seconds. It's really not rocket science. Okay, if I just look, just open his airway a little bit and look from his mouth to the chest for about 5 seconds. And if he's not breathing, if I lie down, what will you see? A chest rise and fall. What else will you see? Nice texture to the skin, right? Because there's oxygen. When the oxygen drains, you will see the skin's turning very pale. And his eyes will become very still. Sign of death is not a good sign. Okay? When someone becomes unresponsive and stops breathing, that person is in cardiac arrest. From that point onwards, every second counts. Okay, so recognition of cardiac arrest is where the biggest problem happens. We fail to recognize it. Okay, we always think that this is not possible. He's unconscious. Do something. Shake him. Call help for help and so on. But we just cannot accept that he's in cardiac arrest. When cardiac arrest happens, he's dead. Okay, time is very, very critical. That's what's most important for you to recognize cardiac arrest. If you ever come across a situation like this, I am clutching my chest and I go down, or I complain of a heart attack, or like a chest pain, I go down, or a youngster running. Do you hear school stories about younger people? They're playing baseball and basketball and boom, they collapse, which we call a sudden cardiac death. Anyone, under any circumstances, becomes unresponsive. Please remember these words, unresponsive, and stops breathing, is in cardiac arrest. 2 things you must do at that time without any delay. 1, call 911, because obviously it's a medical emergency. It's a no-brainer, right? It's because even if you lose consciousness for 1 second, it is still a medical emergency. Call 911 because you just don't know what's happening. Okay? Call 911. Get help. Move this person to some harder surface, a clearer surface. If this person is on a bed, try to see if you can bring him down on the floor. Okay, if he's on a chair, drag him down on the ground. Okay, somewhere where it is nice and hard, and you start CPR, which is resuscitation, which essentially will buy you some time. CPR does not necessarily will revive him, but it will buy you critical time by circulating blood to the brain, by keeping the brain temporarily alive until help arrives. Does it make sense? CPR will buy you critical time. Remember, it takes 3 minutes for the cells to die. So if you did even just hands-only CPR, we don't want you to do anything. Just go, I will demonstrate to you. Just go on the chest and pump the heart and create a heart rate. I asked you, did you guys go to the gym or not? Did I? So who raised your hand going to the gym? One of you? So do you do cardio?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, okay. When you do cardio, what do you do?
When do you do?
When
In
you
the
do
morning.
cardio, what do you do? You run on
Like
treadmill?
running, yeah.
So what's
Running.
your goal for doing cardio?
Just to be healthy.
To be healthy, but you have a technical goal. Heart rate, right?
Yep.
Heart rate, right? So cardio heart rate is what? 130, 140, 150. You gotta create a heart rate of approximately 100 to 120 when someone you're trying to do CPR. Just keep that in mind. 100 to 120. It is not very slow. It is not very fast either. It is a rhythm that you're trying to create. That's if you do it close to being correct, it'll buy you critical amount of time. Just by doing something is not enough. Okay? If you do it more or less with the knowledge and practical approach to it, you're going to buy some critical time. That's why when we give this lecture, we don't want to complicate your mind in medical terminologies. We don't want to complicate by saying, things that happens in chemistry and everything else. All we want you to recognize is if someone collapses on the ground, check if that person is responsive. Try to physically touch, shake him, and so on. If he does not respond, he's unconscious. But the next stage is whether he's breathing or not. If he's not breathing, just look for 4 to 5 seconds, and that's it. Make the decision. If you ever have a doubt, treat that doubt as the worst case scenario. Don't say, okay, let's wait for 2 minutes, see if he responds, and then we'll do something. That's a bad idea. Okay? If you have a doubt, continue CPR. Start with chest compressions. Sometimes the doubt also comes because when someone goes and has a cardiac arrest, they tend to have aspirations from their mouth, like white discharge of saliva, bodily fluids, vomitus, and so on and so forth. Some people also will try to gasp for air. Okay, they will do something like that. They will gasp for air. These are all signs of cardiac arrest. Okay, that's when the biggest problem with us believing that comes in. Isn't do something for him because he's trying to breathe. He's not trying to breathe. It's a neurological dysfunction is happening. He's not breathing no more. Okay, he's dying. He's dead, but he's going towards definitive death. He will stop doing that, and he'll become nice and still. If anyone is doing that, do not hesitate, but start CPR. Treat it as cardiac arrest. So straightforward approach, unresponsiveness and lack of breathing. Start CPR. Call 911 and start CPR. Okay? You were saying something. I stopped you. Sorry. Yeah. It's all right. Okay.
No, I'm good.
Matt. In the video, yes. Right. That's exactly what I said. If someone goes in cardiac arrest, you have got to lay him on a hard surface. Why? They've got to lay. I have to place my hand right on this lower half of the breastbone. You see how the breastbone that starts, it's called the sternum, right? It starts here and it ends over there, right? And we have a stomach, right? It's the soft part of the stomach, and we have a little edge with our rib cages over there. And right above, you can feel your xiphoid. It's medically called the xiphoid process. It's a small edge of the bone, which is the end of the sternum. Approximately about an inch above that, you will feel it's the wide part of your sternum. Okay? The heart is over here, angled like that. So the heart has 4 chambers. Okay? Atriums and ventricles. The ventricles pump blood up. So if you place the heel of your hand, regardless of whichever side that you're in on the patient, so you need some space, right? So whichever side of that, if you place the heel of your hand and place one more hand on top of the other, you tower over the patient like that, using your shoulder. You should press down. I have a mannequin to demonstrate. You can practice with me. You should press down by about 2 inches. 2 inches is a long base, pretty deep. How much is 1 inch? About that much, right? About 2 inches is about that much. So you gotta press down that deep. So press and then you release it. You know what's the heart? It's a pump. Everybody's learned in school. It's a heart is a pump. So you pump it and you refill it. Now we are manually trying to pump. Okay, so you pump it and you refill it. How do you pump it? You pump the chest. How do you refill it? Let your hand come back all the way back up. Don't put pressure on it, come back, then you refill it. If you do it at the right rhythm, what would happen? Blood will start circulating, right? And when blood starts circulating, he will not become alive because neurologically the brain is still not responding, but the brain will receive nutrients. Okay? So there's a big difference as to why am I saying he will not wake up? Because the heart has an electrical system that goes into a tizzy during cardiac arrest. So we are trying to manually beat that until help arrives. The first help that if you ever in a public place, if it happens, see if you can ask for who can answer this?
Defib.
AED. Very good. Who said that? You said that. Well done. AEDs are defibrillators, automated electronic defibrillators. It is available in every public place, whether it's a gym, it's a ShopRite, it's a Wegmans, it's an airport, it's any other public place. AEDs are available. If you can ask someone to get it, it's a very straightforward device to use that can restart the heart. If you use it within the first 5 minutes, you can revive this person by 95%. If you use it, every minute that passes by, the chances drop by 10%. If you don't have it, don't lose hope. Continue with hands-only CPR. Does it make sense at all?
Yeah.
So what did we learn today? When someone is having a heart attack, they will be
Unresponsive.
No, someone having a
Heart attack.
Alive and talking. Someone having a heart attack. Okay? When they collapse on the ground, when they're in cardiac arrest, they will be unresponsive and not breathing. Please remember that. Unresponsive and not breathing. Two things to do. What would you do?
Make them light flash.
Call 911. Very good. What else?
Make them light flash.
Say that again.
Make them light flash.
Make them lie flat. Where? On the hard surface. Good. Next, what will you do?
CPR.
CPR. Try to see if you can rip their shirts off. Okay, you're not trying to be a hero here. The shirt, the ripping, bearing the chest is very important because that gives you visual anatomy of where to place your hands. And when AEDs come, you can use it because it's a glorified EKG machine. You need skin. Okay, so you need some leadership skills. Okay, it's about people management. If there are other people, tell the people, you call 911 and you come here, I need your help. You stay with me and all of you stay at a distance. Do not have more than 4 people crowding and hovering around the patient. That is a very bad situation because that can derail your resuscitation attempt, especially if there's a loved one. It breaks my heart to say it, but this is the practical approach. If there's a loved one, the emotional stress of the loved one is a lot more than you as the rescuer. So the loved one generally derails a resuscitation attempt. Comfort the loved one, but have the loved one at a distance, and you perform until it arrives. If you're alone at home and you have a loved one in trouble, as this man, try to see if you can open the door, the main door, and go back and do CPR. Because opening the door will have easy access for EMS to come to you. Because they will come, knock on the door, you'll be working, and that adds to the stress. So straightforward approach. If there is an AED, ask someone to get it, use it. Man?
Today, have you bought the AED?
Yes, I have got everything for us to see. So let's take a look. We will use the floor because we just talked about the floor. How about using the floor? You guys can, yes. Because we're talking about getting the guy on the floor, right? So circle around me. Because everybody has sat around. You're having lunch and you heard this good nutritious lecture. Okay, time to do some Zumba. All right. So I have a mannequin over here for us to demonstrate. Can you unzip this for me? Okay. Very good. You're fantastic. One more. All right. Well done. Thank you. All right. Let's take this aside. These are some accessories. So here is a half someone. Just think that a real someone will have hands and legs. Even if it's not, that's still fine. But then, so this gives you a visual anatomical location about what each one. This mannequin is special. It's designed for training, and therefore you're going to get a skin texture if you ever train on this, and it gives you an electronic feedback about doing correct CPR. But which is most important, lay this person on hard surface. Very important. You can see the arch of his rib cage over here, right? And then it has a little bone, which is what we call this a xiphoid process. If I just place 2 fingers over here and then place the heel of my hand here, this is the correct hand position for larger or adult individuals. If it's a smaller individual, it just goes, because the size of the sternum kind of reduces, it goes in between the 2 nipple lines, okay?
So you cannot keep it like this. You cannot keep it facing the face.
Like that?
Yeah.
No, not recommended unless you have a difficult position. I will tell you a small story. We were dispatched to a diabetic emergency, which turned into a cardiac arrest. The individual was about 450 pounds, or close to 500 pounds. When we arrived, we saw that he was in the bathroom and he had got up and he had this cardiac arrest and he fell and he got stuck between the door and the hallway. So a 500-pound individual stuck between the door and the hallway, we are just 3 of us. There was no way we were going to move him. So we called the fire department to help us, but I had to climb on top of him from here, and then I worked on him because there was a situation with a very difficult positioning effect. Okay, and my partner went on the other side and so on. We had to literally cut the wall to release him that day. Okay, but preferably you want to be here. If you want a partner to work with, he or she should be on the opposite side. Okay, so you have each other, and you just take turns because this is a workout. Okay, you're gonna get tired pretty quickly. Okay, if you do it right. So you do some, and she does some, and you keep working till help arrives. Straightforward. Here's the heel of your hand. Okay, place one more heel. If you see that if I tower over the patient like that with my elbows locked, I can leverage my body's weight. Okay, if I use this, I will gonna use this muscle. It will tire me even quicker. Please remember that. So if I use this, yeah, I can pump the chest, and I can recoil. So if I pump the chest and it can recoil. So if I pump this, if this guy had the other part of his body, when you pump this, you will see the stomach will go up. When you recoil, you'll see the stomach goes down because air moves. If you ever watch CPR videos, you will see that. Okay, so you will see that I'm rotating him because I wanted to show you some visuals of these of the electronic. You cannot rotate a real guy like this. So just so you know. So this is a compression, as we call that, and this is a recoil. If I do it right, it will look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like that, if you count up to 30 times, it makes one cycle of CPR. You see, it's a workout. This guy, if I see 2 greens, he tells me that you're doing it correctly. We have what we call is 2015 American Heart Association guidelines. You do CPR according to research. It's a science. It's a scientific process. It's a medical process. So you do it correctly, which is 100 to 120 chest compressions per minute, which is a heart rate. And it is not recommended you blow air into the person's lungs, at least during the first 3 to 4 minutes. As the first responder, which is you being first with the event, stick to hands-only CPR until you have professional help that comes in. Remember, when you call 911, all those guys with all the best equipment that money can buy is coming to you. This guy's going to get the best of treatment that he deserves. But until that happens, continue with hands-only CPR. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 30. Pause for 2 seconds. And then you go again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and continue with it. Keep an eye on this patient's face, because when life returns, you will see it on the face. Change of skin texture and tone. If he starts to breathe, if he starts to respond, if he moves his eyes, what live people do, right? If you see that, then you can stop. There's no guarantee that it's going to happen, but there's a good chance it will. If it does, then you can stop. 30 compressions, pause, 30 compressions, pause, 30 compressions, pause, keep going. Straightforward. Questions? If there are none, there are a couple of things. If you deviate your hand away from the sternum, what's going to happen?
Break the rib.
Thank you. If you deviate your hand,
Part of the heart,
yes, but what else is going to happen? What's here?
the liver,
The ribs.
ribs.
And the ribs float, remember? They don't float because there's a hollow. So you can crack it. Excuse me, I don't know, I'm getting some allergies. You can crack the ribs. It's not a showstopper, but you want to avoid doing that. Any broken bone causes an edge, right? Any edge can causes punctures. Make sense? So make sure that you keep the heel of your hand
Steady.
steady on that, because a lot of the times, even